The Love Song by J. Alfred Prufrock begins with an excerpt from Dante's Inferno. In this excerpt, we get a quick summary of Dante's journey through hell and his encounter with the sinner and the sinner's confession. The reason why he confessed is because he's in hell, and he believes since he's already in hell and has not heard of a case where someone returns back to earth, he believes he has nothing to lose and that this is the only time he'll be able to confess and relieve some of this strain this sin may have caused upon him. And I believe T.S. Eliot included this excerpt because in a way it parallels Alfred's situation, in which he in his own way is stuck in his own little hell because he is unable to make actions, he's indecisive, he believes he's running out of time, and because he believes he's running out of time, he's not able to make important decisions because of that worry. And so confessing this into like a love song and the poem and whatnot is a way to like relieve himself and believe that in a way he is making something out of his life because he's leaving something behind. And so after we get this excerpt, we continue on with the poem, and we get two mentions. We get like a lot of imagery. It's not very like, for like how the title is a love song, it's not very like bright and happy and stuff. It's like very gloomy and miserable. We get a lot of like those like dark like imagery and stuff. And so what's it called, we also get description because through this imagery we get descriptions of the life and wanting to do things and being like, and Alfred being like if it's even worth it to do these things. And so this is where we get our first taste of Alfred being indecisive, believing that he doesn't have much time, that time is catching up. Because time is catching up, he's thinking too hard on decisions and believing like, should I do this or should I do that? Is it even worth it if I do this or do that? And that's what we get. And then as we continue on, we get mentions of illusions. And in this poem, illusions is very important. And it's sort of classicist of Eliot to include a lot of illusions. Because if you don't really understand these illusions, you can't really get a full grasp on the meaning of the poem as a whole. And so one of the illusions we get is a mention of, as we mentioned, Dante's Inferno. And if you don't know much about that, it's hard to like make better connections throughout the poem. And the next illusion we get is a mention of Hamlet, how Alfred mentions that he doesn't believe he's like Prince Hamlet or that he would ever be Hamlet because of like not just how he's in this, because there is a similarity between Hamlet and Alfred because they are both indecisive people and they can't make actions. They have so much time to, but they don't. But the way that he refers to that he can't compare himself with Hamlet is because he doesn't have that confidence that Hamlet has to be like a character that's like a prince, that has like, that exerts that sort of like aura of prince. Like he believes that's not him. He's like too cowardly. He's like, he has no prince like qualities, very like undermining himself and his worth, and that's why he believes he's not like Hamlet. And so this adds on more to the meaning of the poem because it just shows how much Alfred is like so like depressing, and so, and much of how he doesn't believe in himself and such. Another like theme and like symbol we get throughout the poem is like this feeling of like familiarity and like as I mentioned, indecisiveness, this familiarity of like, oh, there's so much going on in like the world that you start to like measure things out, like the perspectives and stuff. And then because like you keep seeing things happen, you're like, are these things worth it? And so that's where Alfred starts getting indecisive. And so the world keeps going and you just keep adjusting, and it starts kind of getting like depressing because he's just talking about this stuff. And then like there's like a repetitive line where it's like the women come and go, out for Michelangelo, like the world's just going on and he's watching the world go on, and like he feels like he's not being present, he's just watching it go on. And this feeling that he feels that the world's going on and he's not doing much has makes him feel so stuck in his decision making. And so he's like, is it worth it if I should talk about this? You start feeling like, you start understanding that his feeling is like, if should I continue talking about this because it's taking up my time and it's taking a part of my life, is it worth it? And so he starts moving from subject to subject. That's where we get the stream of consciousness. And he starts moving to subject because he's starting to dread these thoughts. And these thoughts are making him, they're reminding him that he feels so disconnected from the world. And these thoughts and feelings and emotions continue out through the poem. And Alfred doesn't end up in like a action, doesn't end up in making action or being decisive like Hamlet does. Hamlet gets his ending. He goes into action. He does have a somewhat of character improvement ending where he does something, but in this case Alfred doesn't. He's left in the same situation, and we don't see any like significant improvement from where we first started off. And so I guess tying back again to Dante's Inferno, maybe he'll later see this confession and maybe he'll actually do something about his situation. And yeah, so that's the end of my analysis. Thank you for watching.